From the Opelco Studios at Britton and Broadway, this is the OSU Sports Edition of the Bedlam Nation Conversation with Scott Wright. I'm Jenni Carlson. Scott, big news yesterday. The baseball team is in the NCAA tournament. Didn't make the Big 12 tournament, but they get the invite to the big show. Talk a little bit about the Cowboys and sort of this new life that they've been given.
Yeah, you know, this is when things like RPI really come into play. That was really probably the main factor whenever you look at why this team got into the NCAA tournament and got sent to that Clemson regional. They had the good RPI. They had a decent record, better than a couple of the teams that finished ahead of them in the Big 12 standings as far as their overall record. And so that really was kind of their strong arm getting into this tournament. And when you look at this team, the talent that they've got, it didn't show maybe all season or for a majority of the season really. But they're a team that if they put things together, it's a team that teams like Alabama and Clemson need to be afraid of in this kind of a setting, because if they get it going, they've got the pitching to be pretty scary. Beyond
the team itself, you talk about going to Clemson, starting with Alabama. This is a third-seeded team, so not expected to even survive the first weekend. But is there a little bit of hope out there in the fact that some lower seeds have had some success in the NCAA tournament in recent years?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. You know, you can get one good pitching outing, get you some momentum, get hits at the right time. It really comes down to timing of good hitting more so than having a great lineup 1 through 9. You know, at this time of year. So that's a really big deal for this team right now, and so we'll see what they can put together. You know, Alabama is a team that's got a lot of power, so if they'll probably need the pitching to come around at the right time to get past them. But as a 3 seed, no, you're not expected to do a lot, but in this format, the opportunity for success is there.
All right. Let's turn our attention now to football for just a second. Even though the preseason practices and first games are still a long ways off, several months away, a lot of preseason rankings that are starting to come out with the college football season. OSU is one of the teams that is being talked about really highly. The regard for the Cowboys is about as high in the preseason as we've seen it in a while. What's fueling that, and how are the Cowboys reacting to all of this?
You know, the thing that's really kind of pushed this is the fact that they've got guys returning at positions that people like to talk about. For one, Kendall Hunter at running back, Des Bryant at receiver, Zach Robinson at quarterback. You know, and those are guys that people have seen for a year now, and they were on watch lists and you know, postseason awards were you know, they were being talked about for those. So those kind of things, you know, and obviously the fact that they jumped up into the top 10 for a little while during the season last year. You know, those are kind of things that keep you fresh in the mind of people nationally who are you know, this time of year looking for things to write about, and you know, and this is going to continue. This is going to keep on going throughout the summer and into August and right up until you know, that opener with Georgia, and then they'll see what happens after that. But there's a really good chance that Oklahoma State is a preseason top 10 team. They're in a lot of those other preseason polls that are coming out. They're in the top 10, top 15 at least. You know, and they've got NFL prospects. They've got guys that are good with the media, like Zach Robinson. You know, so they've really kind of got the whole package right now, and they're really you know, using this to their advantage. How the team handles it will be the other story. You know, they handled the popularity pretty well whenever they did get up into the top 10 last year. You know, they really didn't go out and you know, throw a clunker and lose a game that they shouldn't have or anything like that. You know, so but having the whole preseason, the whole summer of hearing you know, how good you're supposed to be, things can be a little different. Last year they got 1 vote in the preseason poll, you know, and didn't even you know, scratch the surface until about the 4th week, and then they started to make their rise. So it was a little bit different situation last year. We'll see how they handle a full off season of top 10 talk.
All right. Lastly, let's turn our attention to a team that has gotten a lot of hype, but they've produced, and now they're on the verge of maybe some ultimate production. That's the men's golf team at Oklahoma State. NCAA is coming around. This looks like a stacked team, almost a team that if I was at another school, I'd think, is this even fair? This just looks like a tough team to beat.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you know, there's a lot of teams out there that are going to have you know, a weakness that maybe their 5th man is a guy that doesn't really pop up and you know, contribute that much, things like that. That's not the case with this team. You've got 5 guys going out there who could play well enough to win a national title, individual national title. The match play this year really kind of throws a wrench in things. After they start with stroke play to narrow the field, and then go to match play after that. That'll be an interesting twist to the golf postseason this year, and we'll see how that goes. A team that's really deep, that has a lot of really good players, might be in. It might make it more difficult. It might make it easier. You don't really know how it's going to go. But match play really, it changes everything in golf. It really does. And so we'll see how it goes for them. But as far as depth, I don't know that there are a lot of teams out there that are going to be able to compete with what Oklahoma State's putting out.
Yeah. When Kevin Tway has to set the bench, you've got a pretty good team. All right, thanks, Scott. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.
Let's see it.